Hi, and welcome to Mystic Muses Play D&D.
A storytelling podcast where an all-queer table of all Femme players
and our amazing non-binary DM
tell stories set in the Homebrew world of perdition,
with hopes of venturing out into a realm filled with mystery, magic, and mirth.
You haven't met our characters yet,
but you will.
Because when impossible acts of magic have shunted the world into chaos,
A cleric, a ranger, a sorcerer, and a druid. 4 unlikely heroes will find themselves fighting to restore the balance.
But before our journey begins, we'd like to thank the wonderful Sirenscape for allowing us to use their revolutionary sound app, giving this podcast epic sounds and great ambient music for this adventure. We'd also like to thank composers Derek and Brandon Fletcher and the kind folks at Tabletop RPG Music for allowing us to use their sweet dulcet melodies in our game.
so now,
Our story can begin.
A well-dressed zombie has bequeathed you an invitation to Mila Milagros' house for tea and crumpets. Some of you are well up for this. Some of you are very skeptical.
Sven's gonna turn to Werner and is gonna ask, do you know a Milagros?
Do I? That's a good question.
an old lady down the street. I know her.
That's my Nona.
That's my Nona.
Not a name that rings a bell to Werner, is a name that rings a bell to Inoki.
Ooh. No escaping, lad, you're in.
I'm familiar with the name.
She's a venerable old lady that lives around here and helped you out with, stuff when you came to visit the marsh a while ago. She was actually the one who sort of gave you the insight to look at this particular patch of mushrooms. As you explain this, Werner's like, no one is crazy enough to live out here.
I assure you that they are.
Also,
Yeah.
just laser focused on.
This zombie is chilling out. It's still holding the dish and the cloche.
He seems chill.
He seems very chill.
Sven is just gonna be very confused and be like, is he friendly?
I believe so.
No.
I doubt it.
Well, you say you know this person, right?
I do.
So, do they seem the type of person to have a zombie give us an invitation with malicious intent? Is this a passive-aggressive invitation?
These passive-aggressive crumpets.
No, I don't think this is a passive-aggressive crumpet. Yeah. I guess, yeah, undead in any normal circumstance would be aggressive. But I think, considering it's coming from Mila,
I mean, she certainly dolled it up, and he's all impressed.
I've heard things about her tea collection. Darjeeling, Oolong, Earl Grey, Rooibos. I think you guys are in for a treat.
I think Werner only knows coffee.
You need it. You need the coffee.
Werner, are you okay? You seem very, high-strung.
It is kind of taking everything in them not to just immediately destroy this thing. So
It hasn't attacked us yet?
this isn't something to mess around with, though.
Right.
Maybe that jewel is what's keeping it under.
But then is this person also responsible for the other behavior, the migration?
Why don't we accept this invitation and find out? Ask them ourselves.
Because I do not know their intentions at this point, but curious to find out. Where does Mela live? Is it far from here?
It's a little ways sort of northish, so it's in a similar direction, but veering away from where they're migrating to.
So we have had some dealings, and she's not really given off any vibe to be worried. So far, she's given me some advice. But from my awareness, she's quite a powerful sage, so I don't think it's completely absurd for her to be living here, considering that knowledge.
It's pretty absurd for anybody to willingly set up a settlement here.
There's so many wondrous things in this swamp.
Also rife with undead monstrosities.
Well, perhaps this person is powerful enough to handle themselves. And maybe, if you already have rapport with this person, they can help us figure out how to deal with your torrents problem.
Oh yeah. And crumpets.
And crumpets.
So you are being still presented with this invitation from this dapper
Does the
zombie.
letter have, an dress or directions or a map to
Nope,
show
it
it?
just says cordially invited for tea and crumpets with Milagros.
Okay.
But I guess I would know how to get there.
You know roughly how to get here with reference to the grove of mushrooms.
You fancy pants?
Yeah.
Are you gonna guide us to Milagros' house?
It raises its arm and points north.
Ferne reaches back for the mace.
And then starts to like shuffle in that direction.
Okay. I think we're meant to follow. First sign of trouble.
Yes, you keep your hand on your mace.
Calm your shit.
No. I totally understand being on edge. Keep your hand on your mace. At the sign of anything going awry, you strike.
The well-dressed zombie turns on its heels and starts to shamble its way due north. It glances over its shoulder and then glances away as it continues its path up. It lets the cloche and dish sort of like drop to the ground, but then it sinks very quickly into the earth.
Just focus on the energy that this marsh is providing, kind of just inhale and take that in a bit, and form a little cloak of protection around myself and cast mage armor.
Yep. As you all slowly follow its way north, the sort of a natural hill that forms of tree roots that have sort of heavily knotted together. You have to like put some effort to sort of crest over it, except for Svendy just sort of steps over. It's easy. As you get past, you see this herd of about 7 zombies immediately in your path. They all of their heads sort of like whip around to regard you, but then whip back, uninterested. Moving as a flock, as a unit, their feet almost in perfect step with each other, continuing northeast as this one zombie leads you forward.
And they all seem to be heading the northeast.
Yeah, so they're all going in roughly a similar direction, but they're sort of peeling off at an angle.
Yeah, and we're sort of going more. You
Yeah.
said due north, more
Yeah,
that way.
More directly so. Yeah. You continue to walk for maybe 10 or 15 or so minutes until eventually over one of the gaps in the trees you see a twisting column of smoke as though it's coming from a chimney or homestead. You recognize the distant smells of the otherwise thick, sort of stagnant water eventually peel away into cinnamon and sage and thyme as eventually you crest through a gap in the trees, and a lot of the area around it has been cleared out and the earth is flattened and the mud is more dry. What looks to be what was once a very big, very proud tree has since toppled down, and the lost heights of it have been cleared away, and the stump and the rest of the bark sort of makes a twirling inside as the earth sort of above it sort of reveals roots that twist into glowing, pleasant yellow lights of a window and a doorway. I really don't want to have to make this analogy, but it's kind of perfect. It looks a lot like Shrek's house.
I was just thinking about
boy.
that. Shrek swamp. Shrek is love.
Do not. Oh no. That's why I didn't want to make this analogy. Any hoozle, yeah, you are at the fringes of a house that you immediately recognize as Mila's house.
So we've arrived.
Feeling confident? Okay.
I'm happy to go first.
I think that would be wise.
So I'm going to approach the house.
As you approach, you're sort of following in the line of the zombie, and he reaches into his blazer and pulls out like this fairly ornate key that's made of a white material that's definitely not metal. Sort of puts it into the lock and twists and opens, and it sort of does its best to sort of shamblingly like offer you entrance. The interior is dimly lit with orange flickering candles. There's an immediate sound of like roiling bubbles of something boiling over somewhere nearby. The shelf is largely scattered with various like tatty books, and one rounded table to the left side has a game board with various little pieces and sets of dice set off to one side. There's no one present in the way, but at the corner of one room you hear like you look up to the window and you see the heavy set black feathers of a crow sort of sitting on one side and sort of pecking at the window. Perfect.
Oh, nice.
Great.
That's so good. My immersion. It grows.
Oh, Donald, what are you saying? You trying to get out again? As eventually, out through one gap, this figure just around 5 feet with the hunch sort of leans forward. Long, stringy white hair sort of kept to shoulder length on either side. An immense hooked nose and deep mossy green skin. As this one figure sort of looks about you left and right and is like, "Oh, Inoki, as you've come back so quickly, did you find something delightful in the mushroom groves?"
Mila, Donald, lovely to see you both again.
Oh, you remembered. He's not one for talking anymore. Silly bird.
Hard to forget. And yes, thank you for your advice. There was a abundance of coral tooth mushroom. Exactly what I was looking for, so thank you for your guidance.
Wonderful, wonderful. I'm glad you found it. And you made some friends out in the swamp? That's impossible.
I did indeed. I've been traveling with these companions, and they are doing some research on a different vein to
You
me.
must have got my invitation for tea. Wonderful. I'll brew a pot right now.
Hi, Milagros. Nice to meet you. I'm Sven.
Oh, it's nice to meet you, Sven. My shoulders. Oh,
Oh, I think it's my arm.
Just like snaps off.
it is very nice to meet you all. I'm Milagros. I've lived in this swamp for a very long time, but I've kept myself quiet on account of all of the things that outside that like to eat on living things. Shh. How would you all like your tea?
Just looking at Verna, see if she has any chill.
They have no chill.
Do you have Earl Grey?
I do have Earl and Grey, and I have a fairly mellower blend with a few more wilder flowers that I prefer to call Lady Grey, if you are so interested.
I'll try the Lady Grey then. Thank you.
Anything for your friends?
I'm good, thanks.
Lord Elderwood,
Bluetooth connect?
will
Pairing.
Badun, will Bluetooth connect with Milagros.
What does her mind taste like?
You know, that's not the first thought that he has. I'll have you know. He's a little more respectable.
But now I know that this is a thing that happens.
I feel like she gets the sensation of gentle, hesitant, thorny vines wrapping around her and just kind of reaching the sides of her face as if like putting pressure on her temples and her ears.
As you say that, you do see like a little pop open up in her left temple, and like a small little like dribble of blood comes through. It's like, oh, and she snaps her fingers, and like a little yellow glow sort of like presses to it, and you hear like a small high whistling as eventually she closes it, but the blood still trickles down her side.
Apologies. Your frequency is a little different from the others. No tea for me.
Well, it's evident that you're clearly talented in other respects. That she says back to you, the rest of the cabin staying silent. She speaks back into your mind. The three of you watch as they start staring at each other effectively.
You can communicate telepathically?
It's an easy trick when you're as old and as well read as I am, darling.
And how old would you be?
It's very rude to ask a young lady her age.
See, I didn't know that. I will keep that in mind.
Well, if you insist, do take a seat, be nice and comfortable. Feel free to pet and speak to Donald. And then switches out of the conversation back to verbal. So...
Tea?
Of course, of course.
Crumpets?
I was promised crumpets.
For me, I love a red bush. Do you have any rooibos, perchance?
I've picked some fresh berries myself. Let me crush them.
Oh, perfect.
And sure enough, you see the pestle and mortar float from the shelf behind her, sort of fill up with like the thick red berries and the red leaves, and it sort of grinds itself down. Eventually, heavy pots made of like black steel sort of fill themselves up and sit on the fire for a few moments until eventually they start to whistle up with intensity. But eventually, like the thick red murk liquid of your rooibos, and it has the same register and notes of Earl Grey, but it's a lot lighter and it's a lot like smoother almost, and it's like very welcoming, very comforting. I know how you like them. Would care for a crumpet?
Yes.
And how would you like them, my friend?
Do you have butter and cheese?
Sure enough, she like gets like heavy set like block of butter like wrapped in like almost paper, and she opens a cabinet and struggles to lift this enormous wheel of cheese. And
Oh, he's
sets
gonna.
it
I was
down.
gonna offer to help her.
As you try to move it, you can't lift it. She then eventually like gets this one like cheese knife And then just like very like Jack Nicholson in the Signing shot starts hacking at the cheese, and then eventually like
The
enough
only
shards.
person worthy enough to pick up this cheese.
Oh, absolutely.
It's basically like these like various shards that she sort of like lays down lovingly on the crumpet, and as she stares at it, almost it begins to melt.
Can I? What's the sharp dressed zombie doing?
As you look out through the window, it's sort of like making laps around the house outside.
Oh.
Oh,
He's just a little guy.
Yeah.
there's a closure.
He's just doing laps. Getting in leg day.
It's not easy to get those gains when you're dead.
It's not.
So, where did you come across your new friends?
I came across them by the mushroom patch.
Fellow studiers of strange plant life?
I'm just like watching this thing, keeping an eye, and maybe also trying to sort of like see if there are any more like clusters.
Roll perception for that.
Okay, I didn't roll so good the last time.
Sven is just devouring
Yeah.
crumpet.
Yes, you're a very large man with immense muscle. You need more, and she like makes you another like set of like 4.
Oh my god.
You just like keep funneling them into your face.
Yes.
Like there's like cheese spatters and like
Nice.
busted grease
He's just
everywhere.
enjoying it. And from time to time, he'll take a little bit and put it into Marvin's jar.
Oh, what a beautiful fish!
Oh, he's my best friend. Here.
Oh, what a beautiful. And then she stops and immediately hands you the jar back. It's like, I was mistaken.
Is anything wrong with my best friend?
I am glad that you are friends with him. I feel that he and I may not get along.
And then he takes Sven.
Yeah, he takes himself.
He takes Marvin, looks at him, and he's like, "What did you do?"
Yeah, the Marvin blinks once and just goes, no, shaking his fishy head.
Okay, and then just puts him in his belt again.
Sure enough, he doesn't want to look at the lady anymore, but he's still very lovingly munching on the crumpet. What was your roll?
Oh.
No, I was just like, are you gonna find out what happened?
No, you go.
I rolled a 24.
Oh, actually, with a 24, sure enough, you do see like one more herd of at least 6 sort of moving through the next row of gaps in the trees. And then after a few minutes, you see like a bright flash of pink light out in the distance. Because you rolled a 24, you do see that flash of pink light. It's very far away, but it's almost like the same color and the same vibrancy as the creature from yesterday.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
I'll just say, does that happen very often? The flash that happened over there?
What flash, darling? I didn't see anything.
A pink flash, and I'll sort of point in the direction. Does that happen?
Well, that's the direction that all of the shamblers are going to. Except for Pedro, of course. I put him under my control.
I love Pedro.
Do.
You should vote for him next time. They've been going there for a few days. It's a little bit far from me to walk with my back, and every time I send Donald there, he comes back so confused.
Do you know how far away it was?
It's difficult to say, but they're heading towards it, and it's the same as the creature that we fought yesterday.
That doesn't sound good.
Milagros, have you ever interacted with someone called Torrance?
I haven't really interacted with anyone that wasn't Donald, Pedro, or Enoch here. It's very hard for me to keep to myself in a swamp like this. Perhaps a sweet option? And she hands you a crumpet covered in cranberry jam.
Oh, thank you. Continues to munch.
How long has this been happening?
A few days, week most. I try to avoid them, but they're easy to deal with some of my own skills. And you see her hand sort of like crackle with like deep black lightning sort of between her fingers. And of course, Pedro's been very loyal. Always has been.
How did you manage that?
That pretty blue glow isn't just to help him see in the dark. And she like peels back the sleeve on her like grey dress, and you see that her arm is covered in matching blue bracelets, like shoulder to wrist. Lots of them are sort of filling their way through.
Blue bracelets?
Bracelets that have the same silver sort of material around them and the same glowing blue gems the whole way up her arm.
Ooh.
Yeah, this one's for Pedro, this one's for Alejandro, this one's for Hector, and some of the others are so far away.
And you make these yourself?
I get the materials I need from far away. Some of them bring them to me, but I make them here.
I'm gonna...
Kill her.
I'm going to murder her immediately. I'm going to do a sneaky little detect evil and good.
Ooh.
You know, if there is an aberration, celestial, elemental, fey, fiend, or undead within 30 feet of you, as well as where the creature is located.
So the whole grove beyond where Milo's house has been situated, that area is clean. Everything else beyond it is desecrated with dark necromancy energy, which you can know to expect. Yeah. You feel the presence of 6 undead beings walking northeast. You feel the presence of a very strong fey being directly in front of you.
Okay.
Anything else?
You feel the presence of 1 undead walking in laps around you.
Am I getting anything from the fish?
Ooh.
What are the types again?
Good call.
Aberration, celestial, elemental, fey, fiend, or undead.
Check your phone.
Oh my god!
Yo, Marvin's getting found out.
He's within 30 feet of me, and
Sweet
Ellie
Jesus.
knows that there's some shit going on. Yeah. But I want to see if it pings anything.
Yeah, when I say check your phone, that's the equivalent of a critical role whispers, by the way.
So we've got fey, undead, and a fish.
And a fish.
Definitely a fish.
Absolutely a fish.
100% a fish.
Cool. So, yeah, you are there thinking about all that junk and all that good stuff. 2 of you are just like munching away at like high quality crumpets.
Did you like dump your bag somewhere feeling super comfortable in this very familiar space? Did you like put your bag up or something?
I'd say my bag's still on my side.
Fuck.
But kind of there's a strap and it's kind of just...
Woo for me? Can you leave your bag unattended? I'm joking. Can I, while she's distracted, just use a little bit of my power to kind of flop the flap open? and just as I'm walking past and inspecting the space, just try and take like her notebook.
Okay, so by what magical means do you flop the flap?
Flop the flap.
Like a mage hand.
Cool.
Flop the flap. Flippity
Stop
flop flop flip
saying it.
Flopping the flippy flappy flop.
Well, what kind of? I'm assuming you don't have a bag that has like a zip. It's got to be a flap.
Yeah.
So away.
I guess.
I'm just describing it like her imagines it.
I'm only calling it how I sees it.
I'm gonna say it's like a leather kind of satchel thing with a loop of the flap.
Flippity flop, see?
But it has a little button thing.
Ah.
Or at least like a magnet to close it so it's not just...
Flip and flap.
Roll a... Aster, have Moritas roll a charisma-based sleight of hand check, and what is your passive perception in OP?
Probably really fucking good.
Passive perception is 15.
Yeah, tile beat a 15, no pressure.
I've not rolled well this entire...
Do you want a spare dice?
Do you want to build a snowman?
I'm gonna put my faith.
In the heart of the cards?
Yeah, and the dice has been in jail.
Oh, you're gonna put him out on parole?
This is a risky move.
This is a ballsy move.
Are you sure?
Yes, because I'm hoping that maybe it'll feel my desperation.
Absolutely not.
They've learned their lesson.
Ready to watch
And I'm
you
going to
fail.
use your dice box if that's okay.
That's okay. I'm gonna keep my dice away from yours.
You know what? I'm going to pretend like I don't care. I'm going to pretend like this roll doesn't even mean anything to me.
But it means everything.
No, it doesn't. I'm going to pretend, and I'm going to roll, and I'm going to look. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
But get away from my bag.
It's a natural 16, so 19.
So the magnetic clasp pops and the bag is open, and as you look past, roll perception.
Damn it!
No, investigation to see the actual contents of the open bag.
Maybe it's your box. Maybe your box is giving you good luck. Never mind. Fuck your box.
Your dice touched mine.
Oh no!
It's doomed.
That too.
3.
So inside the bag is an absolute mixture of like papers stacked up really tightly against each other and like loose paper and burlap baggies of mushrooms in varying degree of freshness and drying. The bag is open, but you can't quite ascertain what's what. But the bag is open if you are so inclined as to rifle through her research papers.
This is how you make friends.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about life.
I'm watching you.
Enjoy your crumpet.
To be honest, at the
Enjoy your
moment, at present, right now, you are just enjoying your crumpets. You maybe felt like a weird, like, change of your weight at your belt, but it's nothing out of the way as another fresh one is sort of put to you, and like the sauce is just sort of being slowly poured on as the jug sort of levitates itself.
Scrummy.
You're starting to get full at this point, Sven, but like it's still really satisfying as the last little dribbles of tea come out of the pots.
I'm not going to take anything.
Cool.
I'm just going to observe.
And what's Verna doing other than feeling sus about everything?
I mean, yeah. I don't know. I'm still like the Fae thing. I feel like was like, okay, yeah, that checks out.
Mm-hmm.
The undead thing is just like, yeah, obviously.
You hate it, but it's true.
I hate it, but it's a fact of life. And the other thing.
Well, the read on the little friend of the jar.
Read on Marvin is interesting. And store that away for later. I think I'm probably just going to continue keeping an eye on what's happening outside, seeing if there are any flashes, whether or not they're staying in the same place, whether they're getting closer, further.
There is another bright flash as it's not like there's any clear source of what's projecting this pink light, but you have a very clear beat on the direction that it's coming from.
Yeah, I think I kind of want to sort of keep tabs on frequency, direction.
The last little dribbles of tea come into both of your cups, and it's like, well, I'm glad you have eaten and drunk your fill. This is lovely to have so many guests. It's been a long time. Shut up, Donald.
Poor Donald.
Through a mouthful of crumpet, I'm gonna say, so, what inspired your invitation?
Well, I knew that you'd been working in the garage for a long time, so I sent Pedro out to see if you wanted to take a little break.
I see.
But I gave him the cloche and the invitation just to appear a little bit more fancy, because it's so long since I've had an actual guest here.
I did enjoy.
I'm glad you did. I don't think your friends agree, but it's hard to make a good impression first time around.
Can I, at the sort of like, I just wanted to sort of have guests, can I sort of ascertain whether there's something more to that, or
Roll
whether
insight.
she just wants company? 22.
Tricky phone.
Oh my god, I'm getting all the whispers.
All the whispers.
I'm just like observing
Everything. Knowing details about everything.
Yeah, I know, it's like everyone's shit.
Is there anything interesting around this lady's house?
Roll investigation.
Oh boy.
I think Sven's gonna go to the crow and just say hi to him, like Donald.
He sort of hops around on his little perch and looks up at you. He's like,
Hello, little guy.
sort of hops around, like his feathers sort of rustle up and then look back at you, looks over your shoulder at the other two, looks back at you in a moment, sort of like picks at his feathers under his wings.
Does this like make him think of anything, or like?
For you?
Yeah.
You've seen lots of much bigger birds and also like very strange flying creatures in and around the mountains and stuff. You remember that your father and Bjorn were gone for about 3 days trying to deal with a loose wyvern that was like sort of plaguing the next home over, but they were able to bring it back and made some really good pelts out of its scales.
Nice.
I got a 14.
There are lots of books written in a very strange language with the same alphabet as Elvish, but ones that you can't quite follow at present. Lots of little knickknacks of like various strange carvings of crows and cats and dogs sort of like set in and among the shelves and stuff. And as you pass by one little jar full of like strange little white orbs, all of the eyes inside just turn around to watch you, and watch you as you walk past.
Oh
And
my
watch you as you walk
god.
past the other way. Don't mind them, darling. They're just good for potions.
Right. He's just gonna like move.
Yep, and like eyes of all different colors, and like some are like have the thin reptilian slit, and some of them like are just like all color, but you can tell that they're sort of focused at you, or like move side to side with you.
He's just gonna like go find his little emo corner in the back and just vibe there.
Just gonna stand in the edgy corner.
Yeah.
Can I walk over to Donald?
Yep. So you accompany Sven over there next to the little birdie.
And I'm gonna wave my hand, and then you'll see like a cluster of mushrooms appear on my neck. Spore dust will come out of that toward Donald, and I'll cast Speak with Animals.
Ooh.
So the mushroom caps sort of pop up, and the loose yellow dust sort of floats up, and Donald sort of like slowly takes them in and breathes a little bit. What are you still doing here? You should be running. And we'll find out what happens next time in the Mystic Muses.
Oh my god.
Hi, guys, and thank you so much for listening to our podcast. If you like what you heard here today, be sure to give us a follow on Spotify and hit that notification bell if you'd like updates for when we release episodes every week. This episode wouldn't have been possible without our amazing cast. Maitreya, she, her, playing Sven, he, him. Danielle, she, her, playing Anoki, she, her. Asta, she, her, playing Moritas Elderwood, he, him. Ellie, they, them, playing Verna, they, them. And not to mention our wonderful DM and storyteller, Adam Ray, they, them. If you like what you hear, be sure to check us out also on Twitter and Instagram for updates. See you soon.